What's up, everybody? My name's Jolly Green. Today we're going to be talking about a budget phone that I think everybody should be considering in 2022, and it's the Samsung Galaxy A23 5G. So I've had this phone now for about a week, and I gotta say, I love everything about it. It's got great specs for it being a sub $300 phone, and I think that anybody else that's looking for a phone in this price range would be easily impressed with this phone as well. Right off the bat, when you look at this phone and you hold it in your hand, it's so nice because it's really nice and sleek and thin, and it's got this really cool matte black finish on the back, which I personally like. Not everybody may be into that, but I will say that this phone doesn't really have any color options other than this, but I still think that this is a great phone despite that fact. Looking at the screen here, we've got this nice 6.6-inch LCD screen, full HD 1080p resolution, which means that all your videos, your games, and everything are gonna look super crisp in that 1080p. It's not 4K, but I still think for this price range, you're getting a pretty good screen. The screen also gets really bright too, I've noticed. And I think that's definitely a plus, especially when you're outdoors in very bright environments. You need to have a screen that can get pretty bright so that way you can be able to see it in that harsh light. Now, what really impresses me about this phone is the 120 Hz refresh rate on the screen. It's amazing how fast and smooth everything is when you're switching between apps, when you're going into the app drawer, when you're pulling down the top drop-down menu and going through that. Everything is so liquid smooth. I love it. I love how smooth everything is. Coming from a phone that was only at 60 Hz refresh rate and was laggy and was just really hard to use for multitasking. This phone handles all of it with breeze. I love it, I love it, I love it. So when you go to get the A23, there's a couple of options for storage and RAM. You've got 4 gigs of RAM and 64 gigs of internal storage, and then you've got 6 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs of storage, but both of these can go up to 1 terabyte of expandable storage with a micro SD. I think that's absolutely fantastic for a sub $300 phone. I mean, up to a terabyte of storage. That's insane. I didn't even know they made micro SD cards that could go up to that amount. That's just insane to me. Another cool little feature that isn't really the most important feature of the phone, but something that I like personally, it's a little setting called dark mode. And basically you click that and it makes your whole theme of the entire phone and all of your apps dark. It makes it like a I don't know, it just makes it darker, like black basically, instead of it being really bright and light and white looking. And I really like that because, I don't know, it's just more aesthetically pleasing to me, but that's just a personal thing. The other great thing about this phone is that it's unlocked, which means that you don't have to worry about only being able to get this phone through a certain carrier. You can buy this phone online through Amazon or any other place that sells smartphones that sells this phone, and you can get it unlocked, and it's a 5G ready phone, which means that when you get that 5G, you're gonna be getting really fast connection speeds. I've noticed that calls go through really quickly, and also text messages go through pretty quickly too. But it also depends on your coverage in the area that you live in. I live in a city, so more urban areas are gonna have more 5G coverage than others. But even if you're not on 5G, 4G LTE still works really good on this phone too. Okay, now for the camera specs. Now this is something that I really enjoy about this phone because I was coming from a phone that had only a 12 megapixel sensor. This has a 50 megapixel main camera. Also, we've got 2 other cameras here. We've got a 5 megapixel macro camera, and there's also a 5 megapixel ultra wide lens as well. And that means that you're gonna be able to get a wide range of shots. And even though the ultra wide and the macro lens are 5 megapixels, they're still pretty decent. They come out pretty good. And I'll show some examples here too of some photos taken with this. But I think for what you're getting, 50 megapixels is insane. I don't even know how they can make a sensor or a camera this small that can do 50 megapixels. That's insane to me for this much money. Another cool feature about this camera is it's also got night mode. Night mode is really cool when you're shooting in lower light conditions. It'll brighten up and sort of just make the image easier to see, basically. It's going to make the image look a little softer and not as crisp and sharp as before, but it's going to help with being able to see things a little more clearly in an otherwise dark photo. Video quality on this camera is also pretty good too. It's very smooth and it can go up to 1080p 30 frames per second. And actually that's really the only option you get. There's full HD 1080p and then there's HD, which is 720p at 30 frames per second. But honestly, I would just stick with 1080p full HD. It looks way better. The videos aren't as sharp as they probably could be on maybe like the Samsung Galaxy S23 and whatnot, but for what you're getting for a $300 phone, I mean, it's pretty good. So for the internal specs, this thing's rocking a Snapdragon 695 processor. We've also got a 5,000 milliamp hour battery. So this phone is going to last you all day and maybe even more depending on how much you use it. But for me, it's lasted me an entire day without really needing to charge it. And I love that. It's also got fast charging, 25 watt fast charging. Now, the only thing about this phone is that it does not come with the 25 watt fast charging charge brick. You're only gonna get the cable and the phone itself whenever you buy the phone, so you will have to get that charge brick separately. Now here's some really good news about this phone. It has a headphone jack. Wow, hallelujah, a headphone jack. I don't know what it is about new phones nowadays, but the big companies are getting rid of headphone jacks in their phones, and I'm so upset by it because for many years I've used phones with headphone jacks. It's just been a norm. And I've been able to listen to my music anywhere I go. And I think it's really disappointing that they're getting rid of these headphone jacks in these new phones, but at least there's a good side. For these budget phones, they're still keeping them. And for this one, you've got one. And I love the A23 because of this reason. Other thing we've got here is this bottom firing speaker. And this speaker can get pretty decently loud, so when you're watching videos, there's not going to be any issues with not being able to hear the audio. It's very clear, and I really can't complain. The only thing I wish is that maybe it was a front-facing speaker, maybe here or here, but honestly, I can't really complain. So my final thoughts on this, for around $299, I think this phone is absolutely worth it for somebody who wants a budget smartphone, but also has really decent features and isn't going to leave you feeling like you wasted your money on some piece of crap phone. This phone is absolutely worth it, and I think everybody should consider it if you're looking for your next budget banger. Alright guys, well thanks for watching the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and maybe you guys will check out this phone, maybe get it for yourselves. If not, I hope you guys enjoyed the video anyways. So, it was nice talking to y'all. I'll see y'all again in the next one. Peace.